Hello and welcome to this episode of Point Counterpoint. We are here yet again to discuss one of the most important issues which always plague Goa, but sadly never really spoken about with as much concern and passion as most other issues are. This is a subject which is very, very intrinsic to Goa's life, livelihoods, economy, culture, tradition, and so on and so forth. We are talking about fishing and fishermen. When you think of Goa, when you speak of Goa, when you conjure up images of Goa, one of the first things that comes into your mind is the whole image of the Goan fishermen going out to sea or coming back from sea with a catch of fish. This is one image which is like a frame in the minds and the hearts of not just Goans, but anybody who loves and feels for Goa. Unfortunately, what is going on behind that image and behind that picture is a sad reality that doesn't often come up onto the surface. And this harsh reality is much like the plastic in our oceans or the waste that is buried inside, which you cannot see under the beautiful ocean, but it does exist. The harsh reality as far as fishing and fishermen in Goa is that our fisherfolk who simply saw fishing as a way of life, not just a livelihood. I say this with responsibility, it was a way of life. It was a way we all lived, it was part of our culture, our surrounding. And the economics of it and the finance of it came alongside it. Families never had to bother. There was no shortage of food on the table. There was fresh fish to be had. The fields were completely full. Life was complete. Goans were rich. Now, the reason why we are repeatedly coming to discuss this, not just us, but the people who matter in the villages, who go out to sea, are constantly worried about a series of events that have happened, which has led to the complete crushing, as it were, of fishing both as a way of life as well as a profession. It has impacted Goa and it will impact Goa in ways that we cannot even imagine. If our fishing resources, if our fishing fish in the sea goes down, if the fish stock goes down, if the fish is taken away by rogue trawlers coming from Karnataka, entering into Goa's waters and sucking fish out, if all that goes on happening, and then we have this so-called quote-unquote forces of development where port limits are increasing, areas are being completely taken over, areas under the control of traditional fishermen are going down, all this comes into effect, and the cumulative effect of these disasters is something which is going to ruin Goa if it hasn't already. The other aspect is that fishermen, both traditional fishermen as well as trawler owners and others, have a lot of pending issues that need to be sorted out by the government, which supposedly prides itself as being a protector of fishermen. And the issue here is that our jetties are in a pathetic shape. There are sandbars in front of jetties which are leading to regular accidents of boats, and boats are getting destroyed. Fishermen's welfare is not protected or not taken care of. Our sons of the soil don't even have money to mend their boats or their fishing nets. Therefore, we need to not just talk but also act. It is said very often whenever you think of fishing, when people say that a bad day out at sea is still better than a good day in a normal office. But can we say that about fishermen now? Because ultimately one feels that whoever understands fishing is the fisherman himself. It is a passion that cannot be explained. It is beyond economics. It's a love and it's a craze which has kept Goa alive for years and years. The big question is, will it keep on ensuring that the real sons of the soil who give us our fish and our sustenance, will they be looked after, and is there a future for people who see this as a form of living? I have with me a very eminent panel of people who are stakeholders and close watchers of all that is going on, and they have a lot to lament and a lot to speak. Olencio Simoy is on my left. He is the General Secretary of the Goencha Rapon Karancho Echo GRE, which is a very well-known organization which looks after the rights and of fishermen and fisherfolk, fights for their justice, and beyond that, Olencio has been speaking very proactively on issues even beyond fishing, but ultimately affect the lives of these fisherfolk. Next to him is Harshad Don, who is the Vice Chairman of the Mandovi Fishermen Marketing Cooperative Society. He also happens to be the President of the Goa Purse Seine Trawler Owners Association. Of course, he has big mechanized trawlers which he sends out. He also has issues, but we'll ask him a few other questions as well. And last but not the least, Anthony De Silva is very well known as a activist, public speaker, fighter for the rights of many issues, and this also is one of the key things that he has spoken about extensively. Olencio, I'll begin with you. I will first start with what are the main issues that are plaguing fisherfolk of Goa today?
Yeah, so basically there are multiple issues what the fishing community of Goa are facing.
Yes.
Be it from mechanization, be it from the destructive policies which are now coming from the government. Initially, the fight was always with the traditional and the non-traditional. But now there is so much what has been planned by the government that the very existence of fishermen is in stake. Be it the traditional or be it the non-traditional, we are all likely to drown into this ocean which we have been surviving for centuries into our occupation. If you see now the major port bill which talks about the entire up to 12 nautical mile is their jurisdiction. CRZ, if you talk CRZ now which has come to 50 meters. If you talk about the inland waterways, 6 rivers have been nationalized. Today we don't know whether we can fish in these rivers when we know that the inland fisheries has a lot of catch per year.
Right.
So like this, plus then we have already intrusion from other states boats entering into our territorial water.
Right.
And unfortunately the fisheries department has been a very silent spectator. This department is come to protect the interest of the fishers of the state of Goa.
Right.
But unfortunately, they are not been proactively involved, which I fear sooner or later we might all perish into this greed of exploiting our natural resources. And
one more point. See, the issue here is now repeatedly we've seen in the past 2 to 3 months. The common refrain amongst everybody is that the government is not looking at our major issues. Now, at this point of time, let's zero into the present. What are the key issues that are of immediate concern that need to be addressed right now in the next maybe 1 month or 2 months?
Yeah, see, now very lately we have seen Karnataka and Gujarat boats entering into our territorial water. Not only that, they are entering into inside 5 nautical miles,
right,
which is actually the space of the traditional fishers.
Right.
Now, every year we have been complaining to the fisheries department. In fact, some of the canoe owners, traditional fishers, even caught some boats, Malpe boats.
Right.
And soon the fisheries department will catch it and even leave it.
Right.
But now this is the attitude. We have seen that our trawlers, Goan trawlers were fishing in Malwa and in other states are being caught by the fisheries department. And why is that our department is still sleeping? So if tomorrow our department...
You're saying Goan boats are being caught by...
caught by Maharashtra
yes,
or by Karnataka. They are so proactive. Then why is the state government not proactive?
Right.
That is the question. Now we don't know if it is so easy to enter inside, get to 2 nautical mile. What guarantee is there? Another issue is livelihood. Second issue is the safety of the people.
Right.
Now tomorrow any boat can enter into our territorial water. dock into any of the private jetties or the shipyards and load and unload anything, maybe fishing, maybe fish or non-related fish also.
Correct.
So that is a huge safety issue.
Right.
So if government is not serious protecting our waters, our territorial waters, our boundaries of our waters, then some way or another, I think government has completely failed to protect the interests of
And we know
boats.
very well that the coastal police station does not even have boats. For the last 3 to 4
Yes.
years, the coastal police do not have boats.
Yeah.
And if there are any intrusions of rogue trawlers coming in from outside, they take the help of local fishermen and take their boats to.
They are boat to get.
Correct.
Now coastal police is there, coast guard is there.
Right.
Still this, after having these bodies, if they are not active,
Right.
then somewhere or another I think the home ministry has to look into this. It's a very serious thing.
Right.
Because this is also a touristic state.
Right.
We have seen a communal disharmony taking place for the last few months.
Right.
There could be untoward incidents where government will be responsible.
Right.
So government, if it becomes proactive, I
Right.
think it will save the interest of the fishers and save the interest of the state also.
Harshad, coming to you now, I'll ask you about the problems of the big trawler and fishermen, in a bit. But the general feeling is that, in Goa, that the traditional fishermen are under threat, which one can see, and the big trawler owners are the people who are actually doing the business and making money. Now, the allegation is that the big trawler owners from other states come in and get into it. But your situation is very interesting because you are a big trawler owner within Goa.
Yeah.
And you are kind of moving out. So where do you see yourself in this situation, or are you feel that you are lucky because you got your big mechanized boats, you are going out to high seas, you are getting your catch, you are comfortable?
Yeah, no, I'll come back to the point. See,
Yeah.
what happened is,
Huh.
in early 2000s, we were also doing trawling business. There are two types of fishing. One is trawling, one is persinette.
Right.
In trawling, you cast in persinette, you cast the net. In trawling, you drag the net.
Right.
So we also had small boats.
Right.
But subsequently, what happened? See, our government stopped the registration certificates, means vessel registration certificates at 1104.
Right.
During Manohar Parikar's first regime. So once they stopped it, then our boats were limited. But our neighbors, Maharashtra and Karnataka, did not stop it.
Okay.
And what happened in Karnataka in particular, they concentrated on Malpe jetty.
Okay.
Malpe is a place where they have a huge jetty where there are 2,000-3,000 boats. And they lifted all the restrictions on them. This was in early 2000.
Right.
So when, see, what happened was traditional fishermen came to trawling because of that was better mechanized fishing. So what happened was, we were also doing mechanized fishing, no? So Malpe, when they were lifted, they built huge boats. Their machines, boat machines became bigger, 500 cc, 600 cc, 700 cc.
Right.
And their mesh size of net became very less, and they started using destructive nets. Till then, trawling was doing very well in Goa. Once they finished their seas there, and they started traveling to Goa, Maharashtra. So they subsequently exploited and destroyed our sea here.
Right.
And in that
Who the
case,
big mechanized trawlers?
big mechanized trawlers from Malpe, Karnataka.
Right.
They finished.
Right.
So once they finished our sea, we were left with no option.
Huh.
So what happened was,
We meaning the trawler guys.
trawler guys
from
at
Goa.
Goa.
Okay.
So small trawler owners.
Yeah.
So what happened was, in Malim jetty, I'll cite you an example. We had around 300 trawlers, out of which 250 trawlers were fishing, small trawlers, and 50 were bigger trawlers, what you have said just now. So once what this happened was, our trawling business started subsequently reducing.
Right.
Profitability reduced, and now at the moment, not even 20 small trawlers are working at the
Right.
jetty.
Right. Right.
So out of 200, now there are not even 20 working. 100 are already scrapped. Out of 100, 20 are not working.
Right.
So we were left with no option but to go for bigger trawlers, that is persinettes.
Right.
So we went for persinettes. So around 2010, 2011, persinettes started increasing. From 50, they became 60,
No, what
70.
was the reason why you all went for it?
Because sea was exploited by Malpe people. Fishing.
And how does percent help?
Person, they have cast the net,
Right,
no?
okay.
That is big trawlers, what
Right.
you're talking about,
Okay.
big trawlers. So from there we have...
But in which waters? The high seas?
high seas, high
Right.
seas. So now then we went into persining.
Right.
So once we repeatedly told Goa government then that please stop them.
Right.
Please stop. Then what happened was, our honorable Prime Minister was also in Gujarat as a CM of Gujarat. So he also gave boost to fishermen there. So there also Gujarat people, what we are seeing now, Gujarat people also started coming in Goa.
Right.
So Goa was attacked by south as well as from north.
Right.
So what happened was then
No,
we,
interesting you use the word attacked. It just shows what has really been happening.
it was actually exploited.
Yeah.
Then what happened was then we ventured into purseners. Now at the moment there are at Panjim jetty there are 115 purseners.
But isn't pursening, wasn't it banned or wasn't there a talk
No,
on
no,
banning
no,
it
no.
at
no.
all?
Pursening started in Goa actually.
Right.
They are initially started in Goa
Right.
because it is come from Portugal.
Right.
Pursen India was taught pursen business from Goa.
See, the other issue that I'd like to bring it with you before I go to Anthony Baum is that there has been a ban on LED fishing.
Yeah.
Okay. Now this ban was put into force. Goa was also a part of this.
Goa started
and
it.
introduced it, started it, and did it. Now, will it be fair to say that that was only lip service and on paper? The ban never really happened in the way it should, and then very soon, a lot of boats started coming in with LED lights from outside and started using LED lights. Now the issue is the ban really in effect or is it lip service?
No, I would not like to comment on it because it is in court matter subsidies.
I'm only,
we are not doing it in
I'm only
Panjim.
asking you, do you have LED lights?
No, I don't have LED. I am not using LED gear.
Okay. No, but are you aware that boats come in with
No,
LED lights?
I am not aware of it. If outside boats are doing, at least I know Panjim jetty boats are not doing it since the court is since the matter is in the High Court.
Right.
It is we are strictly not doing. We are
But tell
adhering
me,
to our-
do the big trawler owners, do you also get into traditional areas where Raponkars fish in those Goan waters also?
No, I see. What happens is Raponkar, we generally don't go because
Right.
now what has happened is trend is that small Persian trawlers
Right.
have reduced,
Right.
and now trawlers which have become they are now newly constructed. Out of 115, I told you, no,
Right.
85 are newly constructed double
Right.
cabin. They have
Right.
got a huge draft. They
Right.
cannot go anywhere,
Right.
and their nets are also big nets,
Right.
so they cannot be casted in 15, 20, 30 meters. You have to at least go outside 40 meters.
Right.
That is the case. So if you have to go outside 40 meters, they cannot be troublesome to traditional fishermen.
Right.
So normally we go out. There are few trawlers which are there. But what has happened? We have requested government to coordinate the matter, means to separate the things, which state government has to do. Now, somebody has to do it, no?
Okay. Now,
we
my-
cannot stop it. We cannot ask
Fair
them.
enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Absolutely correct. Now, my next question is that look, the whole issue of big trawlers coming in. It's not. I'm not saying you are doing it. I'm saying people from outside who are coming into Goan waters.
No, what I'm telling you is, see, these things, if you go into no entry, traffic police stops you,
Correct.
he challenge you.
Correct.
So, see, there should be some things which are to be put in place, which are in place
That's
actually.
right. Okay.
But you have to coordinate them. That thing has to be done by department. I individually, as mechanized trawler or traditional trawlers cannot, then it will be fights.
Correct.
It will be a law and order problem.
The system has to take over.
System has to take over and put in
But my
place.
question is that when this fight happens against LED,
Yeah.
when the fight happens against big trawlers, or when the fight happens, against this Goan fish being sucked out, there is a feeling that the big trawler owners and the Raponkars are not together in this fight. It seems that each side is fighting their own individual fight. The collective voice of all fishermen, rather than just one group and another group, is not seen.
No, that we are trying to build consensus now.
But
We are-
you agree that you all are speaking in different voices. You are
Yeah,
not speaking.
I do
You all are
agree
not
to it.
speaking as Goan fishermen.
Yeah, I do agree. To
Do you also agree that there seems to be some kind of a mistrust?
that was always the case in last 50 years.
Yeah. So why has it not been?
It is not that happened in last 2, 4, 5
Fair
years
enough.
or because of LED or because of other things. That has been the case for last 50 years.
Okay, but then
Because
there is-
they are saying there was small space where we could explode, and they were saying that it is our area as well as we used to say that is our area.
Right.
That is where it was a fight.
But right now you all have gone beyond. You all go to the high seas. You said you are going to the other states and doing it. So there is no real clash.
No.
But at the same time, I mean, you feel that there is scope for greater cooperation.
Yeah, there can be consensus.
Okay. Anthony Babu, you've been listening to all of us on the various issues that we have raised. So I don't have a specific question. You can respond to any of the points that we have raised.
Basically, see, I would split this into 3 components.
Okay.
One, I belong to one, let's say, OBC
Yes.
as a caste-wise, but I call myself as a traditional fisherman.
Right.
Number 1.
Right.
So I will talk and componentize the traditional part of it. The second level is this two great people level.
Huh.
That is a very high level for me.
Huh.
That you call them botkar or personas and
Yeah.
caste.
Right.
So they have a different level playing field.
Right.
Now, to look into the interest for me and for my brothers and sisters who are doing their livelihood, I would say, and it's a way of life, as you said, because I remember when we were young, it was the question of making money out of that fish was very distant.
Exactly.
Distant.
Correct. Correct.
It was like we adle, bangde, adle, pana ghatli, bhazle, khalle. What remains we take home, and what still remains, then we sell it.
Right.
Most of the time it was barter system.
Right.
That was
Absolutely.
what I would say.
Yes,
It was
yes.
the way of life. And we lived a happy life. We lived under the sky as our roof. And, anytime 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock we go, we just know we got fish there and we just go catch it and come. That easy it was. But as days went by, I found that things started threatening, if I am not mistaken, somewhere 1969, 70s.
As early as that.
Yes.
Okay.
Because I remember the first trawler which came up to my light as a young boy was something called NAF Fisheries, Napoleon Associated Fisheries from my village, and then there was Ambelling Queen of Ambeli and all. So these are the two trawlers, and
Right.
they were something very big thing for us.
Right.
And it was a society type, a group of people would come together and own one boat.
Right.
Today, one person owns 100 boats.
Yeah.
So it becomes very difficult.
Right.
Number one. Now, what has happened in that is the fish which was there, my river was full of life. It
Yeah.
was like a Jordan river.
Right.
I still remember my river Sal. Today, I fail to recognize whether it's river Sal or Godavari. It becomes so difficult.
Right, right.
In spite of having that dredging, fredging is
Right,
being done,
right.
and it is all, as you said, it's a lip service, nothing else.
Right.
Lift the sand from here, put it over here, again it goes and come back there. So our people who were there traditionally fishing, of course now people have moved into better pastures, either
Right.
it is foreign countries or better jobs.
Right.
Like I myself, I'm a teacher.
Right.
My father used to do fishing and I used to go with him as a young boy. Today I don't fish.
Right.
So that limit has come in. One is self limitations, but there is a problem when we work whole day, and when I notice that my neighbor earns 10 times more than what I'm earning by doing this hard labor work,
Right.
and there's no timing, day, night, anytime we need to go as per the tides.
Right.
And when I find that I'm not making, today money has become a bigger factor than having fish at home.
Right.
Sometimes my own cousins, they will not have fish at home, but they will sell all the fish what they get. So it becomes very difficult today. And in that, our own brothers, I'm not talking about Karnataka, Maharashtra. We have enemies within us, our state.
Right.
I'm not talking about them as such specifically. Our enemies within our state is our own brothers who are doing fishing on a bigger level like boats and this person and this.
Why are they enemies?
They are enemies because they intrude into our territories knowingly. If it is unintentional, I can understand. Unintentional, I would say he's drifted because of some natural calamity. See, such a big boat with all gadgets on board, how can they say we drifted by mistake? Where is the mistake? With more than 10 people working on board, and then they come within even 200, 300 meters, the fish and they go take.
Right.
Whether it is a person with bull trawling or person or with LED lights and all. Now that LED lights has become a final nail in the coffin,
Right.
basically,
Right.
because there is no limit on that.
Right.
There are so many loopholes, and these loopholes created more enmity, which they agree that confidence between both the parties as such
Right.
has been, that thread has been broken.
Right.
And these LED lights, don't say that it is subsidies matter. It doesn't mean I cannot talk about it. Information I can give about
Right.
it. That is, when I say this.
Yeah, you give.
Yeah, I know. So, for this LED light, what happens is these people, they will keep generators, and then they'll say no generators are allowed. So then they'll take another loophole.
Right.
They'll say, no, in case the engine fails, we want the generator, we want to put on the lights, emergency. That's why we are taking the generator, high power generator. See, this limit of greed has no end. It was maybe 50 watts
But
yesterday.
you think you can exploit loopholes. and
So
get out of
many
it.
loopholes are there.
Right.
So we are looking at a mechanism which can balance this thing, but the total mechanism in the state has failed. We have too many wings to look after these things,
Right.
and everybody thinks that this is no man's land.
Right.
And that is how our own traditional people, even when they want to do fishing close by near the seas,
Correct.
it becomes so difficult. Then they also try to start finding loopholes.
Right.
They'll, instead of going with 9.9 horsepower motor, they'll go with a double one. So
Right.
they also exploit them. Then there is a fight between these two entities like this.
Right.
Basically, rivers are no more left because, as Valencio Bab said, already 6 of them are nationalized.
Correct.
And there are so many swords which are dangling around our heads. We don't know. Today it
Whether
is
the rivers will be there or not.
nothing,
Correct.
because today they are allowing us to go in the river without a slip or a pauti.
Right.
Another 6 months they'll say, no, without a pauti you cannot enter the river. Then what? Because the property is already being nationalized. So it will become very difficult
Under
for
the Major
us.
Ports Act, yes.
Yes.
I want to give one clarification
Yeah, sure,
on your LED.
sure.
Now, what Anthony Baba said regarding LED. See, before these court orders and before ban, we have done LED for some period
Right.
when it was not banned or when it was not illegal. See, what was our intention of doing LED? LED shouldn't be done in shallow waters,
Right.
because then it exploits fish.
Yes.
Where it should be done in high seas.
Right.
Now you see professional fishing in Pakistan. Pakistan is taken over by China,
Right. Okay.
if you know.
Okay.
Then Chinese big boats come to the national waters. They are
So you're
national,
essentially saying the boats that come from the Pakistan side are actually Chinese boats.
Chinese boats,
Right.
professional, bigger boats,
Right.
commercial boats.
Right.
These come Chinese sides, and they see in more depth. Water, we cast nets,
Right.
so fish does not remain on top.
Right.
In deeper waters, 400, 500 meters, fish remains half seas.
Okay.
Half bottom.
Right.
So what happens is LED lights, when you put it there in high seas, it brings fish on top.
Right.
That is a virgin sea, mind you.
Right.
That is unexploited sea.
Right,
What I'm
right,
talking about.
right,
In shallow waters is totally exploited.
Right, right.
So what happens is we used to put lights and we used to get fish on top and then cast the net.
Right.
So if we get the resources from there and we export it.
Right.
It is a national
Right.
advantage.
Right.
That is what we used to do.
Fair enough, correct.
I have even then when we used to do that, before this notification came banning, we had requested state government several times,
Right.
somewhere around 16, 17, 18.
Right.
We had requested state government several times to keep an eye on shallow water LED fishing.
Right. Okay.
So if you stop it in shallow water LED fishing, then high seas there is no problem,
Right.
because we are exploiting unexploited sea.
Right.
Or if we don't exploit, then Chinese will exploit.
Right. Okay.
Now,
clarification.
since he said it clarification, I fully agree.
Right.
But I'm saying he's talking about national assets. But Don Bab, I think you should also look into the state asset, ni? Amka state asset as a corporate, what are you doing for us?
No, state asset I have already told. See, it has to
but
be.
what
I have
he's saying is
explained.
he has said that on shallow waters you should not exploit at all.
that's-
At
What
all.
we are talking about there-
Though it is metal sub judice, I have just given
No,
you information.
but-
be it bull fishing,
Yes.
be it LED, it shouldn't be done in shallow waters.
Correct.
That's what I spoke about
Yeah,
the
correct.
loopholes.
Okay,
I
correct.
did not
No,
tell
I have just clarified what you said.
Okay. Now let's move. Moving quickly on, there's an important topic here. Now, if you see the state of our jetties, you look at Kudbod, look at Kharewado, you look at Shapora, you look at Beti. Okay. Now the issue is that what is surprising is that all the jetties seem to have the same kind of problems. There is no cleanliness, there are no proper toilets, no facilities for fishermen to actually be there. Maybe one or two jetties may be an exception, but by and large this is there. No places to actually repair your boats properly. Then there's stagnant water which is dangerous, leads to the stink coming out of the fish, and the issue of sandbars. Now the point is, why can't the authorities sit down and at least fix our jetties?
Yeah, actually, I will agree with Don Bab what he said that Malpe was modernized, Gujarat was modernized, that's why those trawlers started going all over.
Right.
The sad part is the infrastructure of fishers, be it the small scale or the big scale or the more mechanized.
Right.
be it in Vasco, Chapora, wherever it is, we do not have still the basic infrastructure.
Right.
Like if you see every monsoon, we will have dengue issue in that area.
Right.
People have died, workers have died, boat owners also have died, their families have died. Basic infrastructure is still not in place.
Right.
Why it is not in place? Because sadly our fisheries department
Right.
or the one who is heading the department, fisheries minister,
Right.
first of all does not come from that community.
I see.
He does
Okay.
not know half
Right.
the things, 90% of the things, that what is the situation of this fishers.
Right.
How do we suffer?
Right.
We have to brave the storm every day to the sea.
Correct.
Now because there is no fish, we are going more deep.
Right.
We are spending more.
Right.
After all this, we cannot even land properly.
Right.
And then when we land, there are boats which collides. So there are, that damages take place.
Correct.
So somewhere or another, government has to see that fisheries is one of the biggest subject in state of Goa and controlled by locals.
Right.
This is, I think, the only profession which is there in Goa which is completely controlled by Goans.
Right.
But now, obviously, the workers which are there, that's a different part.
Right.
But when this is now so local centric,
Right.
government should give extra boost to the fishers. Today, fishermen, every family are doing their Portuguese passport and they're going.
That's true.
Why is they going? Why are
Correct.
they going?
Right.
Because government has failed to protect the interest of fishers, and this is the reason today they find fishing is not profitable.
Right.
And therefore, exploitive methods also have been used.
Right.
I'm not saying that what Don is saying is correct or wrong.
Right.
But I'm saying what has happened because of over exploitation.
Right.
We are now going for more exploited kind of gears, and then ultimately why this is happening, because the failure of the department to act and to control this. I remember there are certain friends, for example in LED light,
Right.
ते म्हणटा कितें तो LED light use करता.
Right.
आमकां कांय हें मेळना, कितें मेळना, कॅच मेळना. तेका लागून तो वर्कर कितें म्हणटा की आमी फोर्स्ड आहा LED लायट यूज करपाक. बट कितें जाता, हितून कितें जाता, बरें त्यात बोटकाराक जरी विचारलें, अरे बाबा LED लायट करून तुका फायदो मेळटलो ना रे ओल्यांची, तुका सांगता 10 वर्सान नुस्तें काबार. बट जेन्ना नुस्तें काबार जातलें तेन्ना हो सरकार उठ्ठलो, जेन्ना सगळें काबार जालेलें आसा. इन सर्टन कंट्रीज fishing has been dead, but then they revived it by shutting down fishing for 5 years, 6 years, and then they revived it again.
Yes.
But we cannot afford to do that.
Of course.
If we shut down we cannot even shut down for 60 days
Will
properly.
collapse totally, yes, correct.
We will be eliminated. We will be desperate. They'll be suicidal in like how farmers are doing.
Right.
Fishers will start doing.
Right.
So therefore, looking at the interest of everybody, taking everyone together, it's high time government should take keen interest and protect this traditional old livelihood.
And even jetty infrastructure, see the idea.
This
I mean, what is
12
clear?
nautical miles, what you have said, has to be protected.
Right.
There has to be mechanism fixed
Right.
by government,
Right.
and they have to protect it. Whatever he's saying, is correct, because Katale cars, Ponel cars, small trawlers, medium trawlers, all are exploiting this area basically. So there should be a certain mechanism, rules and regulations in place.
Harshbab, tell me something. Now, we talk of agriculture policy.
Yeah.
We talk of an industrial policy. We talk of a tourism policy. Has anybody thought of a comprehensive fishing policy by taking the stakeholders on board?
No, correct. You are saying no. See, your first condition is that no stakeholder is taken on board while framing rules, nor traditional,
That is across
nor
the road.
mechanism,
Yes, across the
nor
board, yes.
mechanical. I'll cite you a simple example.
Right.
See, after repeatedly requesting Manohar Parrikar in 2012
Right.
that we required a good jetty, state-of-art jetty, one at least in Goa, he agreed on Panjim jetty. In 2013, he started this jetty,
Right.
which was state-of-art jetty.
Right.
So now we are in 2023.
Right.
10 contractors have run away.
Right.
JT is completed at 35%. And the JT which is completed at 35% has got a sandbar, it is not dredged at it.
Right.
So we are in dilapidated condition using this JT.
Right.
As far as Vasco JT is concerned, there cannot be 10 boats parked.
Right.
I will tell you, see, from this tourism jetty, we were shifted to Malim jetty in
Right.
96.
96. Okay.
96.
Yeah.
See, we are yet to have a drop of water.
I see.
We
Okay.
are applying 50 tankers a day.
Personal expense.
Personal expense of the jetty.
Right.
We are applying 50 tankers a day. This
Right.
is our condition. We are short of infrastructure.
Right.
Now, whatever we are doing infrastructure-wise is we are spending of our own pocket. That is our federations and societies and associations. be it small
Even
traditional.
the Olisma, you will bear me out, and you Anthony Babu. Apparently, that 220-meter jetty, the new jetty in Kudbon, is it functioning finally? The Kudbon jetty.
I will not know properly about the details about jetty, but all I can tell you is that government has to create an infrastructure. Now, for example, in Moscow, what you said is correct. Not even 10 people can. पण गव्हर्मेंटान कितें केलें अंडर सागरमाला आख्खो बीच कॅप्चर करून तांकां बोटकारांक फुलयलें की आमी जेटी तुमकां ते एल शेप जेटीचेर आमी दितले एक बत फिशींग जेटी एक पेट्रोल आमी म्हणलें ना लँडींग सायट पळय आसा ती फुली बीच पळय आहा ती 800 मिटर आहा ती आतां आसा ती फकत 600 मिटर आनी तितून लँडींग जे आहा बीच पळय आहा 30 मिटराची बीच पळय आहा तितून कॅनो लँड करता जोरूय तो आख्खी बीच घेतले आमी खंय वयतले सो वॉट हॅपन गव्हर्मेंट इज using us and throwing us outside. That should not happen. Now what you said, Malay jetty. ते करा मरे कसिनो कशें दिता तुमी सगळे आयज फिशींग जेटी आयज फिशरी जेटी जी आशिल्ली फिशरी डिपार्टमेंट कडेन ती कसिनोक दिल्या तिंका कशें दिता तुमी आनी आमकां फिशरमॅनाक कशें दिना जे नीस गोंयकार आसा ते तेंकां कित्याक दिना म्हळ्यार सरकार जो आसा पळय आहा जो खंय जो हें आसा जे इलिसीट मनी पळय आसा जे रॉंग जे आसा तितून इन्फ्रास्ट्रक्चर बांदता आनी जे नीज गोंयकार जे आसा जे पळय रोडटा तडफडटा तांकां कांय दिता हे सरकारान चिंतपाक जाय.
No, what has happened is I have told we have requested now Nilkant Haldankar, who is he is little bit proactive. He is doing little bit. Looks like he will do something for fisheries. Now we have at least requested him for see what happens. You know, our basic problem is surviving wooden boats which are small, getting crushed in between the iron boats.
Right.
And their damages, whatever they earn, little bit they spend it on maintenance. So now we have requested him at least put a floating jetty with petrol and water facilities so that they don't get damaged.
Right.
Basically, everything, these two guys now all the time, my brothers here, they are looking at only one part of their interest. But I want to put a rejoinder when we spoke about the national assets. Why did I speak about a state asset as such? I am talking about asset at the grassroots. See, basically the trust every time the government tries to give these boat cars or whoever the traditional personas and all bigger property land, they give whose land? They give my land. Now Kudbon jetty, if you talk about whose land they want to give to these business people, the boat cars. They are all good friends of mine with good faith. But they want to give around 3 lakhs, 4 lakhs square meters of zameen for them. But giving whose land I'm saying? My land. What do I get in return? Zero. They get subsidy. Now if I'm not mistaken, I think WTO want to even stop the subsidy.
Correct.
If
I'm coming to that. That's one another.
Now why they want to stop this? Because some people, they only take. They are not givers back. Now why this problem has occurred in Veli, I was there for that protest during Manohar Parrikar time. We objected. Not that we are against our brothers who are doing business there. We are saying, you take so much land from me and what do you give? Another singur you want to do. And give back to the villagers. No? What is the corporate duty? You tell me so many businessmen, as he claimed that there are so many boat owners. What are these boat owners do in return for us as villagers? Is there anything that come back? Is there a particular percentage of fish? We have even taken resolution in our panchayat that trawler owners should give back something to the villagers back. Maybe on a ration card or on something.
But traditional fishing is being done by the village.
Not traditional, I'm talking about these boat owners.
Boats, okay.
They are the major beneficiaries of the subsidies.
Right.
Not in lakhs, in crores.
Right.
Whose subsidy? In everything there is a subsidy. I'm not against the subsidy that is given to them.
Correct.
I am asking my right as a corporate duty, what are you doing back?
Right.
For the villagers.
Right.
You tell me whether it is a panchayat, whether football ground or garden.
Right.
Their corporate, something has to come on their head. Don't Bab must say, tomorrow I'm going to build a school for the children. As a unit, I mean, not individual. As a unit, build a beautiful school for our children of a village. No, you make money out of this system in crores. So why not give a part of it back to the villager?
Okay, I'll ask Don't Bab to respond, but firstly, I'd like to raise the issue of subsidies now since Anthony Bab has raised it. There are two, obviously, schools of thought on this. Now the WTO has said, World Trade Organization has said that subsidies being given to fishing and fishermen should be completely curtailed. One school of thought feels that these subsidies are important to keep fishing alive. The other school of thought feels that these subsidies are harmful because it does not do any good to locals. Only the big guys get these subsidies.
Correct. See, basically what happened, fisheries cannot survive without subsidies. That is the fact. And because of the expenditure, exploitation or depletion of resources.
Right.
But now WTO objective is what?
Right.
That to protect, don't harm the ocean and the fish stock and the livelihood of the coastal communities around the world.
Right.
So they think that by giving subsidies to India, that we are exploiting our resources.
Right.
But I will not fully agree, but maybe 10% agree. Why I'll say, now he, like Don Baba said, that Chinese boat enter in, but it is said also to when Chinese boat enter in, they use all form of destructive methods.
Right.
But that doesn't mean that we will use. We have to come to a consensus
Right.
and see and tell the government, take a morcha, whatever is required, and stop this intrusion of Chinese boat into our EEZs.
Right, right.
So tomorrow they'll be in EEZ. Tomorrow they'll come into our territorial water. In fact, they're coming into EEZ if I'm not mistaken.
Correct.
So this is also a serious issue. So now the government of India we have demanded the government of India that subsidies cannot stop,
Right.
but destructive gears can be reduced. And for example, in Maharashtra actually,
Right.
Don Baba said the personing we have started. They have banned personing actually in Maharashtra.
Okay.
In Kerala, there is a restriction in match size.
Right.
So we will have to come with some form of restriction to protect the fishing stock, because we initially आमकां जे ताल्ले पळय आशिल्ले ते 12 म्हयने मेवताले.
Right.
आयज नुस्तें पळय 12 म्हयने मेवताले वन्स अपॉन अ टायम आयज मेवना. ती कित्याक मेवना?
Throughout, huh?
ती कित्याक मेवना? ती आमकां तेजेर आमी वर्कआउट करपा जाय.
Right.
गव्हर्नमेंटाची पॉलिसी आसपा जाय, बाबा ही ब्रीड पळय ना ते रिस्टोर करपा जाय. ना जाल्यार ताल्ले पळय आसा ती काय रिस्ट्रिक्शन आसपा जाय. ह्या वर्साक इतलीच कॅच आसपा जाय. Godek will have to come to some extreme steps now only,
Right.
before it's too late.
Correct.
So therefore, because if subsidies stop,
Correct.
then I think there will be a collapse in fisheries, and the biggest sufferers of this will be the traditional fish workers of this country, which are living below poverty line. In Goa, maybe it is not, but outside Goa, if you go, they will be whitewashed because the poverty is so bad there that the fishers and our occupation and livelihood will collapse completely. So I'm appealing to the Ministry of Commerce and our fisheries minister that come what may, that this WTO subsidies cannot be stopped in India, and it has to be seen that we get the subsidy.
Anthony Baba, before you respond to this, just one quick question to Don Baba. Don Baba, Anthony Baba raised this whole issue of he basically wants or has brought up this whole issue of big boat owners doing a little bit more, contribute a little bit more to village societies, and traditional people in villages who give up their land and other things so that facilities are made for big owners.
See,
what's your quick reaction?
Yeah, what happens is, we have got diesel pumps where we put diesel.
Right.
We generate approximately 23 lakhs of octroi for 10 months,
Right.
which goes to panchayat,
Right.
which goes for welfare of the panchayat.
Right.
Point number one.
Right.
Second is, in our Mandvi Fishermen Cooperative Society, we have kept a certain budget
Right.
for scholarship, helping poor people.
Right.
So such way we do lot of
Right.
things which
Right.
we help people.
Right.
That is point number one. Now, point number two, talking about subsidies. As far as I am concerned, I'll tell you, in 2000-2001, subsidies were started by then Manohar Parrikar government,
Right.
which was on pilot basis, was first of that kind in India,
Right.
which was later started by everyone. Then Narendra Modi started it in
Right.
Gujarat for
Right.
their fishers.
Right.
So then, trawler owners particularly.
Yeah.
Now, what is the condition? I will tell you in small short thing.
Right.
Now, Goa government has stopped subsidy. Subsidy is VAT reimbursement.
Right.
There is a VAT on diesel, no? They used to reimburse it at the capping of 30,000 liters per year.
Right.
That was for trawler owners.
Right.
Now they have stopped it.
Right.
Now I will tell you, it has been stopped only in Goa. Now Karnataka is on, Maharashtra is on, Tamil
They are
Nadu,
getting fuel
They
subsidies.
are getting fuel subsidies. See, what happens is, now Karwar, they are giving it before elections. BJP government passed in Karnataka that they will give the fishers directly across the table.
Right.
So now Karwar people are getting diesel at the rate of 76 rupees.
Right.
And we are getting diesel at the rate of 89 rupees.
Right.
So for small trawler owners, it is economically not viable.
Right.
So now what happens is, in this process what happens is, Karwar people catch the fish and get it in the Madga wholesale market, which is the only wholesale market in Goa.
Right.
And we are unable to venture because it is economically not viable. Government has stopped VAT.
Right.
So now,
This is an important point, very important.
even people is deprived of cheap fish, because if we would have got that VAT, we would have given people little bit cheaper. People are also deprived of cheap fish. That is the basic problem.
So what you essentially saying
So
is
we
if
have
this fuel subsidy was
repeated,
there,
we
we all could have fished.
if there was VAT reimbursement, so-called subsidy,
Right.
then we could have gone for fishing and fish would have been cheaper for local people here.
Right. Right.
That is my point.
Okay. Before I get to Athriva, one more question which anybody can, anyone if you can answer. See, the issue is the answer to most of this lies in a proper comprehensive policy where each of these issues are laid down and put in black and white, so that if there is any deviation, one can catch it. Right now, the problem is on none of these issues there is a proper paper on it. There is no policy.
I told you initially that government has to coordinate things.
Right.
They have to guide us.
Correct.
See, there are 3-4 people into this traditional fishing.
Correct.
This fishing business is governed by 3-4 people.
Right.
Ponelkars, Katalekars,
Right.
small boat owners, bigger boat owners. So if we start coordinating, everyone see their own interest. He will
Right.
see his interest, I will see my interest.
No, which is why I'm saying there has to be
there has to be
government policy.
proper guideline and policy and implementation of that. Policies are there,
Correct.
but it is not implemented in toto.
Yes, Sujeba, how kida munda tha? Ami kida munda? He is coming in my territory, I am going in their territory. Where is the question of territory here? Are we Goans not going into Maharashtra territories?
Yeah, correct.
Are we not going into Karnataka's territories? So that territory, that issue, I don't understand. How can it be just sorted out other than at all India level?
No, what it can be sorted out is that shallow water should be left to traditional fishermen.
That's the main loophole we are
Deep-
talking
deep water
about.
should be left to
If the
the
shallow
traditional
waters are left to us,
Right.
we don't know them, they don't know us. Simple it is.
Right.
It is 1 + 1 2. No.
Right.
The question is, starts a greed, especially with not maybe the very large trawlers, the medium wala, they think, okay, inga me wala just take it and go home.
Right.
See, then they are tempted to do that.
Right.
So what Dhonbab is saying is, let the mechanism be in place. But the question is, who will put the mechanism in place?
Right.
Because there is no example being set. Set an example. I always said, set an example. Punish one time, big timer.
See, for instance, there is no fine on environmental pollution. For
Yeah.
instance, if a particular boat is dumping oil, which is leading to pollution in the river Sal,
Yes.
which ultimately is leading to the drop in the catch of fish, there is nobody being penalized.
Just for a laugh, Orange Bab,
Huh.
I visit Kudwan jetty literally every second day.
Right.
तू म्हाका सांग, where is the question of pollution? कितें pollution उरला रे थिंगा? ते पुलीस मामा आहा ते येतात थंय थिंगा 15-20 बांगडे घेऊन त्या वयतात पयले. I'm talking about this policeman, this coastal police. I have seen them. I have captured them. They come there and they want to take a fish from there. You tell me, is he going to question this man
Correct.
when he dumps plastic in that river in front of him?
Correct.
No, in
It's
fact,
simple, it is.
in fact, that's Sagar परिक्रमा पळय जाल्ले
Yeah.
आणि fortunately the central minister Purushottam Rupala had come to Vasco and all other places.
Right.
In fact, that was a long pending demand
Right.
to have a separate ministry in the
Right.
international.
Right.
But today we are demanding a Fishers' Right Act.
Right.
So basically, in par with Adivasi Protection Forest Right Act.
Right.
So here what happens? when
What
we-
will the act be called?
It's called a Fishers' Right Act.
Fishers'
or you
Rights
can
Act.
whatever
Okay,
comprehensive act.
Right.
So basically, to protect the interests of fishers on land, in ocean, protect our coastal environment.
Right.
It's a comprehensive plan.
Yeah.
I hope Dhonbab supports this initiative of us
Yes.
and press it to the government that
Correct.
this
He
is to be
supports.
implemented. Because if we see today, the oceans are not going to be under our control.
Right.
If he thinks that high sea might be in his control, I am also trying to warn him that your high sea also will not be under control. It will be under port limits and all this control. So unless we work for a comprehensive plan, then we can see that fisheries will sustain, and for the next 100 years or 200 years, we'll see that same fishing community will exist in the state of Goa. Otherwise, see, like you said, the oil spillage. We don't have oil spillage policy.
Right.
We have given them. I have written. We have.
Yeah, oil spillage is extremely important. It's
Yeah.
destroying shellfish all
Yeah,
over.
not really. पयली तिसऱ्यो सगळ्याक मेवताले बिचेर आयज एक तिसऱ्यो मेवना बिचाचेर
Right.
पण हे कितें आसा हिंगा पॉलिसी ना
Right.
सो unless we have a fisheries rights act or a fisheries comprehensive act, then we can expect that the marine life, marine ecology and the fishermen will fish sustainably and protect the interest of all and the environment.
Last quick topic. We have about 4 to 5
Sujay,
minutes left. Yes.
there is a huge blue revolution, some thousands of crore.
Right.
You are a layman. You can show me where it is utilized.
Right. Right.
We are talking about subsidies. We spoke that we are getting lakhs crores of subsidies. I being in this business for 24 years, I have not got a penny of a subsidy except for VAT reimbursement.
Right.
We as fishermen are requesting government to stop all the subsidies, only give us VAT reimbursement subsidy. For traditional and
So that you can
we are
pass on
satisfied.
the reduced
So
price
that
to
we
people,
can at least go for fishing.
Right.
No, in
we
fact,
are locked
in
here.
fact, the state
No, but
government.
तुमका vehicle
No,
No,
काय
in
ना,
fact, the state
traditional vehicle
government, I
कसले
think
काय
in
weight
total, if I'm not mistaken, 3 to 6 crores in total, entire community.
Right.
But don't forget that there are this agriculture, they are getting at least 200 times more the subsidy what we get.
Correct.
One company gets, one agrochemical or fertilizer company gets subsidy in crores in a year, one company. And this is the anti-fishing community which gets subsidy to carry their livelihood,
Right.
to carry their livelihood, not for exploitation actually. But this, if stops, then there is consequences.
Okay, last topic which is important, which is important in the sense that it binds everything together. See, there was a time, and Honest Bob, you will know it better than anybody else because you come from a family which is kind of led Goa as far as protection of fishermen's rights is concerned. I mean, your uncle Batani, of course, is known as a lighthouse as far as this is concerned. And we always pay respects to him, as far as the rights of fishermen are concerned. Now, let us look at today. The point here is, do you agree with the fact that the people who actually fish and go out to sea, they are gradually losing political power and political control because there are not enough political voices who have decided to do their politics and their leadership by looking after fishermen's rights. At the same time, the issue is also the captive vote bank, let's use the phrase vote bank, which was there of fishermen and fisherfolk, which solidly supported whoever took up issues of fishermen. Do you really feel that that class is gone, where there are no leaders who want to do their entire politics honestly for fisherfolk? And secondly, the number of active fishermen who can be good voters for such policies, they are also dwindling because of Portuguese passports or whatever.
Yeah. No, actually, Don Bab had said that we are against, we are loggerheads since last 50 years. But I want to correct him. त्यांना foreign vessel येताले.
Right.
Policy काढली central government आणि झगडपी कोण आम्ही. We fought against them. नाल्यार बोटकार नार या बारीक फिशरमॅन एकलोय आसपास नाशिल्लो गोंयांत उरपा नाशिल्लो तेंचे बिझनस. सो कित्याक there are certain individuals or politicians who only looked at their self-interest, not at the entire community interest. Our fight is to protect the community for the future. तो ट्रेडिशनल असो या मेकनाइज असो नाल्यार कोणी असो पण आमचे इंटरेस्ट कितें लॉंग टर्म उरपा जाय. That is our interest. And yes, faster we are coming close, it will be good for us to survive for the future.
Correct.
Otherwise, if we are divided, because today initially the fight was, I remember we were in the British rule.
Right.
The British Act was governing our waters, 1897 Act.
Yes.
मागीर कितें जालें आमी झगडले कायदो हाडलो गोवा दमन दीव मरीन फिशरीज रेग्युलेशन ऍक्ट 1980 आमी झगडले म्हणून तो कायदो येयलो.
Right.
पूण कितें जाता पयलीं मेकनायजेशनाचे ते एक्सप्लॉयटेशन ते लागीं पावतले मागीर 5 किलोमीटर बॅन जाले ते मातशे पयस गेले आतां ते डीप गेले दॅट्स अ डिफरंट थिंग बट टुडे द पॉलिसीज वॉट द गव्हर्मेंट इज कमिंग शिफ्टिंग फ्रॉम कॅप्चर टू कल्चर फिशरीज फ्रॉम aquaculture today they have amended a coastal aquaculture authority 2023 has been amended where now here you can put cage fishing in the sea without taking CRZ permission also. Means you can put a concrete structure also in the sea and do it. And government initially the department had come with saying that we'll build artificial reef to replenish the fisheries. अरे तूच आता डिस्ट्रक्टिव्ह दिता परमिशन दिता तूच कायदो तूच करता तूच पाळना डिपार्टमेंट पाळना आनी तूं म्हणटा आर्टिफिशियल रीफ बांदून आनी नुस्तें येतलें आनी कॅच मारतले हे फकाणां जाली सो आमी कितें करपा जाय जें आहा तें प्रोटेक्ट करपा जाय आनी फॉर द इंट्रस्ट ऑफ द फिशींग कम्युनिटी आय एम होपफुल टेकिंग दीस डिबेट फ्रॉम टुडे that the fishing community of Goa will stand united and protect their own future and their own fish for the future generation.
Harshabab, do you agree that the protection of rights of fishermen, whether traditional, non-traditional, we are not getting into all fishermen, is no longer a political issue in the sense that this issue does not worry politicians anymore because this community does not make or break elections. Do you agree?
See, now several years I am into this trade, 24 years. I have seen several people becoming MLAs. Once they become MLAs, they forget that they are fishermen.
Right.
Very sorry to say so, but I am telling you very bluntly, they forget, except for few like Mathani, who are leader and who got the interest, but otherwise they forget. So now best way out to this is my suggestion that though we are absolute traditional or mechanized, we have to come together, sit across, put consensus, and we have to tell government that this is what we need. We have to press government to put proper mechanism in place. Once that is done, everything will be okay.
Last question. Anthony Bab, do you feel that even say coastal MLAs, okay, other MLAs but mainly coastal MLAs, are also no longer concerned about the welfare of fishermen because they feel that they can win anyway?
Whether they are interested or not, I am not so much aware, but they are irrelevant with respect to that. They are irrelevant because none of the fishermen community looks them as their heroes today.
Right.
See, minus Mathani Bab. So, vote bank politics is not concentrated around fishermen because they are now spread all over Goa, especially in the coastal belt, and that also has almost diminished.
Right.
And so the contesting candidates, they know there is nothing special, specific or specialized to be done for them.
Right.
As Donbab said, I fully agree.
Right.
Amche constituency, even the candidates who went on to become MLAs as from the fishing community,
right,
they had left us into the darkness,
right,
even over the years which has gone by. And not only here, even many times what Alancho says, many times in foreign countries, they give certain portfolios to the people who are right in that field.
Correct.
Ingatoshana.
So what is the solution?
The solution is...
do you see the light at the end of the tunnel?
The light at the end of the day is without discrimination of traditional or non-traditional, come together. And this as elder brothers, the big guys, I always want to say once again, with whatever the subsidies I am talking about, I am not against the subsidies.
Right.
I am saying what is important is, as big brothers, give back to the society, give back to me, my villagers. Something for the children, the youth that will come up.
Okay, on this note, we'll have to come to a close because we've already run out of time. I'll just keep my summary short. Firstly, thank you all the panelists, all three of you for a very riveting discussion, a very mature discussion taking into account all aspects. And though I feel that, I initially thought that 4 people would have made the debate more interesting, but 3 of you have batted so well and raised such important points that we didn't miss the 4th one at all. What is important here is that there needs to be serious introspection on the part of the government because ultimately they will have to frame policies and set right what is wrong. Because from the words of Anthony Bab right at the end where he says we don't look at our MLAs as our heroes, it is a very strong indictment and a very strong assertion of the trust deficit that has happened between the people and their elected representatives. They are no longer seen as stakeholders and protectors of the rights of people, in this case fishermen. And I think that trust deficit needs to be bridged very, very quickly and very, very deeply as well. Secondly, I think beyond everything else, Goa definitely needs a comprehensive fishers policy which looks into the rights, responsibilities and the protection of fishermen across the board. And thirdly, if other states can protect the rights of their own fisher folk, why can't Goa do that?
Yes.
Because it's a part of our economy, it's part of our lives, it's part of our livelihoods, and at the end of the day, it's a part of Goa that we never thought would go away from us. And that danger is still lurking, and which is the biggest tragedy that our coastal state can face. Thank you very much.